Everyone to Hanukkah Lights and Treats, and thank you for joining us. To get started, we're going to check in with our caterer and chef, Jered Mond, in a second. But first, we'd like to launch our program today with Senior Rabbi Asher Knight. Rabbi Knight?
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you and to be able to be here on Hanukkah together. And, you know, as we are in our season of lights, we sort of recognize the darkness that exists in the world and sort of the light that we create and that we add through our lives and through our being and through the ways in which we choose to live. One of the ways in which that I actually think creates sort of light in my own family is the way in which holidays, particularly the holiday of Hanukkah, is sometimes, formed around the language of love of food. And in our household, for better and for worse, food is a language of love. And at the same time, there's also, I think, a deep recognition this year, as we lit the candles on the first night, you say the blessings for the lighting of the Chanukah, and then also you add the third blessing only on the first night. But we've been actually choosing to say it every single night, which is the blessing of the sufganiyot. And the sufganiyot is a prayer that quite literally says, blessed are you, O God, who has not only given us life, but who has sustained our lives to help us reach this joyous occasion. And so even though you're really only supposed to say it on the first night, my family this year has been saying the sufganiyot every single night, precisely because we know the experience that we have found ourselves in, precisely because if there's ever a time to thank God for our lives and the lives of our loved ones, now is the time. And precisely because we're still here to be able to celebrate, and our lives have been sustained, and thank God for that. And so with the sufganiyot, which we'll recite in just a moment, and with that language of love of food, we couldn't be more excited to hear from our very own Jered Mond, and hear how food helps to enlighten our lives at this season and at every season that we live in our Jewish tradition. So let's recite together the words of the sufganiyot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sufganiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Knight. Welcome, everyone. Let me present Jered Mond, who is no stranger to Temple Bethel and to a congregation that likes to eat. I have often said when introducing Jered before, Jered has over many years fed more Jews in Charlotte than all the Chinese restaurants combined. Jered, the platform is yours.
Thank you. So a little background on me. I'm a native of Charlotte and been in the food industry for about 35 years. I've operated and owned restaurants and now have my own catering company called Izzy's Catering. Today we'll be making some traditional Hanukkah foods, latkes and sufganiyot. It is traditional to eat foods that are fried in oil for Hanukkah, representing the oil that lasts for 8 days. We're going to start off with making sufganiyot. So first we start with, we do a half a cup of warm water with 2 tablespoons of yeast and a little bit of sugar. And you need to let that sit for 10 minutes, which is where we've been doing that, which gets frothy. Then we take 2.5 cups of flour. We're going to add to that 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm using a butter flavored oil, so these will be so sweet they're non-dairy for those that don't want dairy. 2 whole eggs and a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. And we're gonna add all this together and mix it into a dough ball, into dough. If anybody has any questions, just use your chat button and I can read your questions as we go along. And once we get all this incorporated, we're gonna put it onto a floured surface, and then it needs to be kneaded for 8 minutes. So it'll put a little flour on the work surface here. Take our dough. And it tends to be a little on the sticky side.
Rabbi Knight has posed a question wondering if there is a written recipe that we can
So there's lots of recipes online. The one that I'm actually using is from Martha Stewart. They're all pretty similar. Some change a little bit of the stuff. If anybody wants the recipes that I'm doing, they can email me at izzyscatering@aol.com, and I'll be glad to send you a copy of the recipe. Then we just take this dough and we're going to knead it for 8 minutes, which I've already done with another batch, so we can move on. So you don't want to watch me knead for 8 minutes. Basically, we're going to do this. You knead for 8 minutes, and then you're going to put it in a bowl. Then you want to take another bowl, oil it. You're going to put that in there. I'll come back in a second.
Jered, how many donuts do we get out of?
So this will make about 20 out of this batch. And you can double it if you want to, because we made a whole bunch of them the other day and we doubled the recipe. So you would wrap it in this, then you're gonna put it in a warm spot, let it sit for an hour and a half until it doubles in size. And you end up with this. So there's our one that's doubled in size. Then the thing you're going to do with this, you're going to rolling pin, and you're going to roll it out to about 1/4 inch thickness. Let me get some more plastic wrap. Then you'll cover it and you let it sit for 15 minutes before we start making the donuts. So that's basically making the dough for the donuts. And then we're going to move on to mixing the stuff, the ingredients to make latkes. My glove on here. So latkes are pretty simple. We're going to just do regular potato latkes today. You can also do the same thing. Instead of using potatoes, you can use sweet potatoes, you can do zucchini, you can do yucca, or any other root vegetable. I use pre-shredded potatoes as a shortcut. If you don't want to use pre-shredded, you can buy russets are probably the best potatoes, and you can grate them or shred them by hand. So you use about 1 pound of potatoes. You're going to take a small onion, and you want to, the easiest way to do it is to put it in a food processor, which I've already done, and you'll get your onions. So that's equal to about 1/2 of an onion. You want to put in an egg, a couple tablespoons of flour. With the flour, you can do regular all-purpose flour. I make most of mine with gluten-free flour, just so that they're gluten-free. You can also use matzo meal. You could use breadcrumbs. You want to add a little bit of salt, and salt's more or less to your taste, and a little bit of pepper. And then you just mix. And those will be ready to fry in a few minutes. We're going to wait for the dough, so we do all our cooking at once. So we're going to move on to a third little thing. So anybody who has small children or grandchildren and you want something fun to make, you can make candy dreidels. So you need regular marshmallows, pretzel rods, either some frosting. I'm going to use Nutella because I don't have frosting on hand, and some baking gel, icing gel. It's very simple. You take a marshmallow, you stick a pretzel rod in, don't poke it all the way through, just so it goes into the end. You can take a little bit of Nutella. Actually, before I do that, I need Hershey Kisses. I'm gonna wrap my kiss first. And put a little Nutella on the end. And you take the kiss and put it there. Like I said, you can use Nutella, you can use or frosting. That'll stick on there. And then you take your gel and you can put your Hebrew letters on there. I'll do a hey on this one. I've already done a couple. You just go and you do your letters. There's a hey. And then you got a shin. And then once it dries, it takes a little while to dry. And then you can do the other ones on the other sides and you can make your candy dreidels. They come out like this.
Splendid.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start frying some latkes, and then we'll move on to the donuts. So we're going to cook. I'm using canola oil today. You can use any neutral flavored oil. So you can use canola oil. You could use peanut oil. You could use sunflower. You don't want to use something like olive oil because it doesn't take the temperature as well, and also has more of a flavor to it. So you want to put it in a frying pan. You want probably about a 1/4 inch deep of oil, and then we're going to start making latkes once the oil heats up.
What oil are you using?
I'm using canola. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Let's see, Natalie, if there are any questions, can you show them and we'll relay them to Jered?
Most certainly. Jered, how many latkes are you going to get out of this recipe?
How many latkes are you going to get out of this, Jered?
That's a good question. We'll see.
We have a definite we'll see.
It's hard for me to say because I don't. This is odd for me to make this small batch. I've made about 2,000 latkes so far for Hanukkah this year, and we use 10 pounds of potatoes, 10 to 20 pounds of potatoes at a time. So I'm doing massive amounts. Out of every 10-pound potato, we get between 75 to 85 latkes. So out of this, we should probably get about 8 to 10, I would say.
All right, but that's enough to feed you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if our oil's hot yet. Okay, so our oil's hot. So I don't measure technically, I just do by hand, but if you wanted to use like a measuring cup, like 1/3 to 1/4 cup of potatoes, I just take it, mix it into a thing, and just lay it into the oil. And you can make them whatever size you want. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. Like I said before, you can use different vegetables in them. You just got to be careful. Like if you use sweet potatoes, they tend to burn a little bit quicker because of the high sugar content. If you do something like a zucchini one, you'd probably have to squeeze a lot of the water out. I find that using the pre-shredded potatoes, you usually don't have to squeeze the water out of the potatoes. And then they take a few minutes, about 3-4 minutes on each side. When they get golden brown, you just want to flip them over.
Let's show everyone how thick you're making these.
Okay.
Just hold it in your hand a second. Okay. So it's not really flat like a pancake,
No,
but it's not as round as a matzo ball.
no. And like I said, since I make them by hand, you can use a scoop. You can use some type of a form if you wanted to, but I just do them all by hand like this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Yeah, so we probably get about 8 or 9 total out of this batch.
And about how long are they going to cook in the oil?
Probably about 3 minutes on each side. We'll see. Sometimes they cook faster than others, other times.
How
Yeah.
often do you flip them?
You should only flip them once. So you want to wait till they get to the color. You know, you can check underneath and see to the color that you want. You know, some people like them darker than others. Basically, you get them like that.
How do you dispose? We have a question. How do you dispose of the leftover oil? I think was the question.
Good question. Here at the temple, we have it easy because we have a grease dispense bin out back, so we can dump the oil there. Technically, you're not supposed to put it down the drain. I would suggest keeping an empty can or something or a bottle of some sort after the oil cools off and pour it in there, and then just put it in your trash.
You know, all those different from the grocery store, Manischewitz bottles of this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. They're perfect for grease disposal.
I usually just save a can, like or a bottle, like if you have a water bottle, even something like that, and put it in there. But yes, make sure the oil's not hot, because otherwise it'll melt the bottle.
Natalie, there was a question from Jeff Cohn, a comment from Jeff Cohn, and it disappeared so fast I didn't get it. Could you tell us what that comment was?
Yeah, Jeff is just saying, man, it kills me that we can't play poker in person and that Jered can't host.
I saw what it is. Jeff, when we get back to in person, I'll host and make latkes for us.
They'll have to
There
make
you
latkes
go.
for everyone.
There you go. He said deal with 4 exclamations.
Okay, so these are almost done.
It smells wonderful in here, I can tell you.
Well, you can do a taste test in a minute.
Oh, excellent.
Will you ask
We do
Jered,
as a reason.
Bishop, what kind of entree
Okay, these are pretty much done. Then we're going to transfer these to a paper towel lined pan so they'll absorb a little bit of the oil. And you can make them as dark, you know, fry them as much as you want, you know, to your liking if you want them darker. I mean, I know people that want things burnt.
Natalie, could you repeat Howard Glazer's question?
I will. Hold on just a second. He says, can Jered get this to the Panthers for pregame meal?
I think they'd have a good shot at beating Denver if you could get this to the Panthers for the
Okay.
pregame
And
meal.
then you just put a couple on the plate and you want to serve them with applesauce and sour cream. And there's your latkes.
Oh,
Is
does
it-
that look good? Does that look terrific or what? You notice that they're golden brown, not, although you can cook them to the degree that you like them
Right. Yeah. If you want them more well done, cook them
more well
longer.
done.
Yeah.
But these are picture perfect.
Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead. We're going to start making our sufganiyot. So we already have our dough rolled out. It's rested. We're going to use a cutter. This one's probably about 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. If you don't have cutters like this, you can use a glass, and you want to dip your edges into flour so they don't stick. And then you just push down and turn. We're going to make little rounds. Let's see, we'll do 6 of them for now. And then these are going to go, you can do this in the, I'm doing it in our deep fryer because it's easier to control temperature and stuff. You want to cook these at 350 degrees in oil. So if you do it in a regular pot, you would need a thermometer, and then you just want to lay them into the oil.
Now, so many people these days have all these newfangled cooking devices like air fryers and foodies. Are those good devices to use to make some of these dishes?
I mean, they have baby fryers, deep fryers you can have for the house. Not many people fry. So then I tend to want to take a spoon and splash oil on the top. It seems to help the dough puff up. You can see how they're already puffing, and they only take like a minute, a little over a minute per side. And then I use a slotted spoon, and we'll just give this a minute, and then we're going to flip them over.
Now, I think you can see they're really starting to puff up. Remember, they were flat pancakes 2 minutes ago, less than 2 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
they really only take a minute or so on each side.
And now we have these perfect looking domes.
One of them's hiding underneath the grate down there. We got 5 now.
Can you spoon one out just so I can show the profile of it?
That's what they look like. And that's what we do. We take these out. We're gonna let them cool down for a minute, and then we're gonna fill them with raspberry preserves.
You're going to fill it with raspberry preserves.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have raspberry filled donuts. You can leave them as is. I'll show you. We'll do a couple of them as raspberry and a couple of them just as
I'm getting the feeling this is not your first rodeo.
well, this is the first year we've ever done. I've never done the sufganiyot, so we did a lot of those before. So we're gonna go back over here and do the. So with the sufganiyot, you can fill them with whatever you want. It's been somewhat more of a tradition to do raspberry ones. Why, I don't know, but that's what everybody seems to do. I know Krispy Kreme sells them.
What about the preserves? Are they store-bought preserves?
Yeah, these are store-bought. I just buy, you can take the preserves and put them into a food processor. You can do strawberry, you can do raspberry, you can do whatever flavor you want. I also did some with Nutella this year too, which I like the Nutella. So basically you want a regular piping bag like you do frosting with a small tip, and we're going to fill up the piping bag with some raspberry preserves.
Right. And the applicator, you just bought that right in?
Like this, you can buy piping bags and the tips and stuff at the grocery store. A lot of people have them. If people bake, they usually have piping bags and stuff. And then the real technical part is you get a chopstick. And you want to fill them. You can do one of 2 ways. You can either go through the side and make a little hole here to pipe in your filling, or some people do them where they do it on the top, they'll put a hole up here, and you can fill there too. So you just kind of make a little hole. And we're just going to pipe these. You put your tip in, squeeze until they're filled. As much filling as you want. And this one we'll do from the side.
Wow. Is this the way they make regular jelly donuts?
Well, if you get like the Krispy Kreme, they have a machine. So they'll take donuts like this, and they have a machine that's filled with that. It has a little stem, and they push up against it, and automatically they take it out. It's where it's filled.
But yours are handmade.
Yeah. And then you can, this is just cinnamon sugar. So if you just want to do some plain cinnamon sugar ones, you can do like this and just, not fill them. And then also you can do powdered sugar on top. So that you can just put into a,
You just put it right through the sifter.
right, like that, and do those. And there you got your jelly donuts.
That's great. Now, how do you say the official name of
Is sufganiyot, which are technically Israeli donuts. And that's it on the.
And again, if you want recipes for these, if you email Jered, tell us the email again, Jered.
It's Izzy's Catering, IZZYS Catering, CATERING @AOL.com. And just tell me what recipes you want, and I'll be glad to send them to you.
And if you didn't get that, you can always reach us at Temple Bethel or ask Brotherhood. There's so many ways that we can forward this email address to you, and you'll get the recipe.
And I'd be glad to answer any questions, any general cooking questions, whether it's regarding what we just made or anything in general. Just let me know.
Some questions for Jered Mond from Jason Schechter. Jason says we will post something for the dishes made today on the Brotherhood website.
Okay.
On
Facebook.
Shul Cloud, you can get to
Okay.
the Brotherhood website. Going back to dishes to be made with kids, although everything you showed us can include.
So as far as the kids go, what we did today, they can definitely do the candy dreidels. They can do pretty much everything with the donuts except for, I don't know if you want to let the kids fry, but they can mix the dough. They can knead it. They can cut them out. They can fill them. They could actually mix up the latkes stuff and just try to keep them away from the hot oil. It's Hanukkah doesn't have a lot of traditional foods other than the sufganiyot and the latkes. I mean, other than that, it's pretty much that. I mean, you have brisket, but it seems like every Jewish event has brisket. But just the latkes and sufganiyot are basically the two that are more of the traditional Hanukkah thing.
The marshmallow dreidels.
Yes.
What do you call those again?
Candy dreidels. So, and you can also take them if you want to do them a little different. You can, if you want to do ahead of time, you can technically you could dip the marshmallows in chocolate, add sprinkles to them. I mean, you can decorate them any way you wanted to. That's just a quick little thing that'd be easy for people to do. The only thing is the gel that we use to make letters tends to be a little sticky, so it takes a while for them to dry. So it'd probably take a couple hours to make one with all four sides of all the letters on it.
You can also make just different chocolate things on a stick from different molds.
Right. I mean, you could use anything to make it. If you didn't want to use a marshmallow, you could use something else. I don't know what else. I mean, I'm sure you could be creative and figure out something else. With the Hershey Kiss ends up being a nice little point, so it'd be like something like you could spin. But I'm sure there's probably other items you could probably do to get creative with.
Later today, Jered and I will be engaged in some heavy dreidel gambling, and good luck to me. All right, some other questions for Jered. Also, a reminder that this Zoom event will be archived. We're building up quite an archive of Temple Bethel events, some from Brotherhood, some from Spice, from other groups, and they will be posted, I believe, on the Brotherhood website, or there'll be a special video archive website for you to easy access the archives. Anything else you would like to share with our?
No, I don't
Will you-
know.
Amy has a question for you.
Not anything else I can think of that's Hanukkah related.
We have a question from Amy. Yes, Natalie.
Go ahead, Amy.
How about sometime making a blintz recipe with us live?
Oh, Amy is requesting that sometime in the future, you make a blintzer.
A blintz, okay, we can do that. That's blintz is pretty easy. We would have to make you make a crepe batter. I have a recipe for it. If people want recipes for that, for a blintz recipe, I can send them that too. It's been a while since I've made them, but it's you make a blintz, a crepe batter, which is flour and milk. I think it's a little bit of sugar. I think a little bit of vanilla maybe, and it's a thin batter, and you use it, you make a real thin pancake, a crepe, and then you flip it once. They only take like 30, 45 seconds to cook because they're really, really thin. And then traditionally you'd make the filling with farmer's cheese, a little bit of egg, a little bit of sugar, I put a little lemon zest in there. And then you take the filling, you put it into the crepe, and you fold it up in the shape of a blintz. But I'd be glad to, if we do another cooking demo at some point, or at that, or something like that, I'll be glad to do something like that. But if someone wants a recipe for it, I do have a recipe for it.
What's the secret or the tip for making the blintz batter as thin as and light as a crepe?
That's right.
So it's a pretty simple recipe. I have a blintz, I have a crepe pan. So the thing about doing the thing, you can do it in you could do a crepe in a pan like this, and you basically would put it in. You just don't want to put too much batter in, you want to keep it as thin. So you just want enough to cover the surface, and you need to make sure that you have your pan that's either non-stick or well oiled, so it doesn't stick, so it comes out really, really thin. So it just takes a little practice to get used to it. It's just do as little as possible. And a lot of times what we've done is that when you put the batter in, you'll end up with a couple spaces where there isn't enough batter, and you can add a little as you go along. And like I said, it only takes like 20 to 30 seconds on each side for it to do, and then you flip it real quick.
What differentiates a crepe pan from a regular pan?
It doesn't have the high edges on it, so it's basically the one I have. I mean, like professional crapperies or creperies, whatever. They have basically a flat thing that they put on, and they have a little wooden or plastic tool that's long. They go around and do like that with it, and it's just flat, so you don't have to worry about it coming up on the edges. So it's easier for you to be able to pick up and flip. So the crepe pan I have is just a very small edge, so it's round. It has a very small edge versus a big edge like that. So it's easier to get that flat surface that you want.
I know about 2 weeks ago, you sent out a menu from Izzy's Catering for Hanukkah
Yes.
dishes. What were some of the dishes that you were?
So for the Hanukkah menu, we did latkes, we did sufganiyot. I went ahead and did some deli, so we made homemade corned beef. I bought pastrami, did fresh baked rye bread, did apricot chicken, and we did a mushroom barley soup. Hopefully next week or two, I want to come up with another menu for a Shabbat meal for a Friday pickup. So if you've ordered from me in the past, you'll get an email with the menu. I also posted on my Izzy's Catering Instagram account and my Izzy's Catering Facebook account. Sometimes Brotherhood will send it out to all the Brotherhood members for me. So, or or if you have my email address, you can email me and ask me to add you to the distribution list, and I'll be glad to send it to you.
One of my favorites is the apricot chicken.
Yep.
So it's chicken breasts or chicken?
I do an 8-piece cut up full chickens. It's 2 legs, 2 thighs, 2 breasts, 2 wings. You use onion soup mix and French dressing and apricot preserves, and you marinate the chicken in that, and then you bake it. So we sold quite a few of them this time.
Do you get more orders for Hanukkah or for Passover?
That's a good question. So normally I don't do this. Due to COVID, I've had to kind of change my business model a little bit, because pretty much everything I've done is usually large groups. I mean, I do some small groups, but the majority of the stuff is like all the things with Temple Bethel or Temple Israel, bar and bat mitzvahs, weddings. So most of the events I do are anywhere from 50 to several hundred people. So I've never really done a lot of individual meals and things for people during holidays, because I'm usually too busy and it's not feasible for me to do it. But since COVID has come, we don't have groups anymore. I've had to change my business model a little bit, and we've started doing individual meals. So we had a very good response to I did one for Rosh Hashanah, one for Thanksgiving, and one for Hanukkah. I'd say that that's about a tie between Rosh Hashanah and Hanukkah. Thanksgiving wasn't as big. I guess I'm going to probably end up doing one for Passover this year, because I don't think we'll be in person for Passover this year. So I'll probably do a large menu for Passover. And that'd be the next holiday that we'd have something special for holiday-wise.
That's something to look forward to. Natalie, do we have any other questions in the queue?
No, sir. I think we are good.
We are good. Well, Jered, would you like to have a taste? And I'll have a taste as well. And we will wish everyone were here to share these with us. But Jered's getting some utensils. We wish whatever you are doing for Hanukkah, that you enjoy it, whether you're socially distant or with your immediate family in your household, that you have a very safe and fun Hanukkah, and we look forward to next Hanukkah 2021, when we can all be together.
That's good.
All right.
I did well.
Thank you, Jered Mond.
Thank you.
Great.